And away we go on the tee on this 6th of July, 2011, from our wonderful Okoboji Grill Studios here, the John Deere Classic edition, as we talk John Deere Classic. The next starts tomorrow, 4 days down there in the Quad Cities of championship golf. Going to be a great weekend, and if you can't get down anywhere on the state of Iowa, you can certainly watch it on the Golf Channel tomorrow from 4 to 7, Friday from 4 to 7, and Golf Central and all the shows are focused down there. Always a treat to watch the John Deere Classic down there each and every year from the Golf Channel. And since you guys have both played there, it's probably a real pleasure to, just to get the feel when you're watching on television.
Oh yeah, well, both Jay and I can. We're not familiar with the places those guys are hitting it, but we're familiar with where the gallery's standing, because that's where we're usually at when we do play that golf course.
Well, it's always it's neat when you get a chance. I mean, for anybody that can play that golf course, it's fun to watch something you're familiar with on TV, and you see where a pin is or you see the shot, and you're like, oh, I know I hit it there, or you can figure out where it breaks. It just brings a little more personal touch to it.
Well, this gentleman probably knows about every step of it. He's been covering it for quite some time. Craig Devriese, great writer from the Quad City Times, and he's kind enough to join us here on the tee on this John Deere Classic edition. How are you, Craig?
Good, I'm doing good.
Well, we appreciate you taking time to join us, and we look forward to developing a relationship with you. We need somebody down there. We get Rick Brown. Brownie's a good friend of ours here in Central Iowa, but you can be our insider, our man with the eyeballs and feet on the ground down in the Quad Cities. But this is a great week for everybody down there, and we just got off the phone talking to Claire Peterson. You probably absolutely love this, even though you're busier than heck.
Yeah, 41 years here. I think I'm in my 27th year, Mike. So, yeah, I've seen a few.
Well, your 27th year. I know I'm going to put you on the spot here, but is there one special memory? I mean, you've seen a lot of great golfers start their careers, wind their careers down there. You've seen the evolution of this tournament becoming one of the best stops on the PGA. Is there anything that really stands out in the in that many years of covering it, Craig?
Well, the default memory you'd go back to '96 and the Tiger Eddie Fiore battle. The Sunday where we had national golf media fly away from the President's Cup to come see if the 20-year-old kid could seal the deal, and he didn't. And it still to this day remains, I think, one of three times he didn't close with a third-round lead. For a long time, it was the only one. And it's pretty much Eddie Fiore's claim to fame. And but that's that's one that pretty immediately comes to mind. But they've all been a blast. 1990 was the first year that it went to the fall for a stretch of 9 years under the Hardy's Golf Classic name brand, and that was a year that Willie Wood was got himself caught in a playoff with Joyce Sindelar. Willie was back in the Quad Cities 1 year after he found out while playing in the John Deere at the Quad Cities that his wife had died, and there he was in the lead, and he got himself in a playoff with Joyce Sindelar and hit a chip that caught a sprinkler head and bounded about 15, 20 feet past, and Sindelar was a pretty name brand winner, and but the amazing thing is the number of people that turned out on that Sunday. The roads were jammed on the way to Oakwood Country Club. There was actually a traffic jam. Coming out to a really beautiful day to see if Willie could close the deal. So that's pretty memorable. And you go back to the Weibring wins, and I remember specifically his win in '95. That was a 3-round tournament, the only 3-round tournament in the history of the Classic, and it really felt in '95. It felt like something bad was going to happen because it was rainy, it was cold, the crowds were down, and Hardy's sponsorship had ended that year, and you just didn't know if there was a future for the tournament. And lo and behold, we've hung on through so many years, and in '95, Tiger takes the lead in the second round, holds on to it in the third, and meanwhile in the clubhouse on Pro-Am Day, they're talking about the creation of Deere Run. So there's a lot of memories here. I could go on for quite a while for you, Mike.
Well, lots of great players and lots of a great venue over there at Deer Run. You got any possible early picks, being able to see a lot of the talent that's been over there this year? You got any predictions for yourself that might win it this week?
Well, it's ridiculous, the numbers that they put up in the last 2 years. When a year ago today, the second half of the Pro-Am was rained out. We got basically almost 2 inches of rain in a period of 2 hours, and the golf course never really recovered. And that's when the next day Paul Guidos comes out without a breath of wind and ball in hand, and greens as soft as they could possibly be. And he shoots 59, and then Stricker shoots 60 on top of him. 1,810 birdies, and they just tore this thing up. And it really, the year before, Stricker won again on Marathon Sunday, when you remember Zach finished second. And they played not quite 36 holes that day, but I actually was 36 holes that day, and Zach finished second, and Stricker won at 20 under. And again, because they lost that Friday, the rained all day, the golf course was just defenseless. And, both those were the only time that Deer Run has been, they've scored in the 69s on an average at Deer Run, and the numbers were ridiculous. But the point I'm leading to is that everybody's saying that we've had no rain this week. We've had a little bit of wind over the last couple of weeks, and this thing is firm and it's fast, and you're not going to see those numbers this week, is what they're telling us. But it's still going to be a shootout here, because they do tend to go low. I think they've averaged 18 under since the tournament moved here in 2000. So if the fairways are firm, fast, and the rough is up, and guys who hit it just a little bit offline can't hold the fairways, I like a straight hitter like David Toms. He's playing great this year. He's first in fairways hit, and he's second in greens in regulation. So that could work out pretty well for a guy who's playing pretty well. He hasn't had a lot of success at Deer Run. He won a course here in '97, but that was at Oakwood. So that's kind of my first pick there, and kind of as a under the radar kind of guy, maybe a sleeper pick. I like Chris Kirk. For some reason, that name just keeps coming to my head. He had the record out there at the AT&T National there for a little while before I think 3 guys passed him on Saturday. But he's had a couple of good tournaments in his rookie year, and I just got a feeling maybe we might see his name on the leaderboard.
Well, you talked a little bit about a traffic jam years ago at Oakwood, and I would imagine there'll be a little bit of a traffic jam around the first tee tomorrow from about, let's see here, 12:40 to about 10 after 1, where you've got 3 pretty interesting groups going off, with Zach and Jonathan Bird and Johnny Vegas going off at 12:45, Oosthausen, Jason Day, and Stuart Sink right after them. And then, I'm sure this was a computer-done pairing. There's no way this would have happened if it wasn't just a computer. Duval.
Yeah, all the way random.
Yeah, Duval, John Daly, and Todd Hamilton, all British Open champions right after them. So there's going to be some interesting groups right off that first tee, right, just afternoon tomorrow.
Absolutely, yeah. I think they took care of the Golf Channel there a little bit, and I think there's some interesting pairings again coming back around on Friday afternoon. Trying to see who caught my eye, but yeah, what we've got here is, I think we've got a field that people can really latch on to, and you got Guidos back here, you got Stricker going for on Friday. He'll be in the afternoon with David Toms and Mark Wilson. And then you got Kenny Perry with Mike Weir behind them, and I think we're going to have a fun tournament. I think we got the fact that Louis Oosthuizen is here a week before the British Open is just crazy stuff, and Jason Day is as good a young player as there is, short of Rory McIlroy, obviously.
You're listening On the Tee on the Iowa Sports Connection Radio and Television Network. Conversation with Craig Devriese of the Quad Cities Times, the longtime writer. Go to quadcitytimes.com. Is that accurate?
That is correct. That's where they can find us. Yeah, and if you can't find, we've got a John Deere Classic a page across the top. You just click on the John Deere Classic, and all our coverage is going to show up there, and we're going to cover it from tee to green, I guarantee you.
Well, Craig, we've been fortunate to have this partnership with the John Deere Classic and Clara Peterson, and as you mentioned, you listen to us on 1230 WFXN down there, and it's still amazing that you get such great guys like Steve Stricker representing, coming to the media day, and the story that you were there, the story that Claire told us about him winning the Memorial, flying home to Wisconsin, and then hopping in his car and driving down on
Yeah,
Monday
6
with his
a.m.
daughter.
Yeah,
6
put his
a.m.
daughter beside him, yeah.
Yeah, wasn't that just an incredible story?
Yeah. I mean, Steve Stricker has been that kind of a classic champion, and obviously, we haven't even mentioned the fact that he's going for the three-peat, and it hasn't happened here. I remember one of my memories that you asked about my memories. One of my vivid memories is David Frost nearly pulling that off in 1994. He got within a shot of the lead with seven to go, and he finished 2 back behind Mark McCumber. But that was kind of a fun deal then. And at that point, three-peats just weren't happening, and then all of a sudden, this kid Woods comes on the scene, and he seems to do it once or twice a year.
Now,
only 20 guys in the history of the tour now. Tiger's done it 6 times, and a few guys have done it more than once. But only 20 names, and it's names like Hogan and Hagen, and it's Nicklaus, it's Watson, it's Palmer, it's that class of player. I had the chance to talk to Dean Beeman, who won the first 2 of these, and he said, it doesn't happen unless you're talking about an extremely extraordinary player.
Well, an extraordinary at 44 years of age right now.
Yeah, number 5 in the world. His bona fides are right there, with the exception of he hasn't filled that major gap on his resume, and he's got a few more chances. He's playing very well. Could happen next week, maybe, huh?
Well, his conversation with Mike Ritz today on the Golf Channel, he didn't want to touch this topic at all as far as the three-peat, nor did he want to talk about the hole in his resume. And, you could just see that he was uncomfortable with it, and he and Mike had a little bit of fun with that. But he's just a great human being. On a personal note, I see you went to Southern Illinois, and I'm sure I'm sure you watch the Golf Channel from time to time. We're fortunate enough, if you listen, to have Alex Maselli on probably once every 6 weeks, and he went to Drake University for a couple years, and then he was down there at Southern Illinois.
I've corresponded with Alex a time or two, but I didn't know he was a dog. All right.
Yeah, Alex Maselli, you two have a little in common, and then as I mentioned to you on the email, based on the history you have, we need to dive down into the Quad Cities more often and have you give us, we talk to the men's city champion up here each and every year in Des Moines. We need to start having you on to get, the Davenport city champion and conversations like that as well.
We've got some quality players. We've got a nice little amateur tour that they put together that goes to a lot of the, the golf around here is just amazing. The public golf for one thing, and they visit a few country clubs. But I should mention we have a pretty good Nicklaus course coming online here pretty quick, sometime toward the end of the month or in August, out at Fire Lake in Sherrard. So that's a golf course you're going to want to get a look at. I guarantee you guys.
You got some incredible tracks down there, and I know one thing, as you said, in that region, I'm just amazed at how many guys call into our show from there, and it's obvious that golf is very passionate. And the Bettendorf Bulldogs, just a prime example from a high school perspective, the success they've had over the years as well.
Yeah, that's players.
St. Ambrose, NAIA.
Yeah, the NAIA just finished its third straight run here, and it was fun talking to those guys who came out and got it a little bit under par, but they just couldn't. They all watched the John Deere last year, and they couldn't believe the 59s and the 60s, and they're going, how does that happen here? It's amazing, because I play this golf course, and it's all I can do to get it under 100 and just beat you up. You feel like you've been mugged after you're done, and then these guys come out and do what they do. These guys are good.
Well, Craig, we know how busy you are, columns to complete, deadlines to meet. We appreciate you taking time. I'll correspond with you, and we'll get you to be a regular here on the tee so you can provide us some of that.
Mike, I listen to you every week. I enjoy the show.
Well, thank you very much, Craig. Have a great week down there.
You thanks.
Craig Devriese from the Quad City Times, and I went on and did a little Google search. The guy's a great writer. Kind of like our own Brownie, covers a little bit of everything, but you can tell he's got a passion for the game of golf.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did look up that golf course, that Jack Nicklaus golf course. It is interesting. I don't, right off the top of my head, I don't, certainly not in Iowa, but I don't know where the closest Jack Nicklaus golf course is. So that'll be a fun one to play. And I know if we're talking amateur golf in the Quad Cities, it seems like every time I hear Ben Peters' name, he's winning some event over there, or his dad, who is one of the better senior players from Muscatine. So I'd love to talk Quad Cities amateur golf.
Hey, I played on a Jack Nicklaus down just south of Branson. It's all par threes. I absolutely loved it. It's called Top of the Rock.
Really?
Jack Nicklaus. and it overlooks Table Rock Lake right there, just south of Branson.
It wasn't Jack Mickelhouse, and
it wasn't Jack Nicklaus either.
Word hadn't got
Jack
out where they hadn't
Nicklaus
banned him
course.
yet.
Look it up, you clown. It's a Jack Nicklaus par 3.
They let you on?
Just,
I mean, that's got to be a fancy joint.
just north of Big Cedar.
Did you wear that shirt?
I wore one comparable, and I almost had a hole-in-one within an inch of a hole-in-one.
Was anybody playing with you?
One of my favorite, yeah. I can't remember who it was, but one of my favorite rounds that I've ever had.
Well, it fits with his 8-iron. What, hybrid, 8-iron, and putter, that's all you need?
Oh, I think I had the driver out all day. Anyway, we'll be back here on the tee to talk a little women's U.S. Open. Paula Creamer over my shoulder. I know, I stunned you. We'll talk a little
you're a new man.
Scottish
I know
Open.
that.
Well, it's at the Broadmoor, and
Hey, by the way, I just looked, and we didn't have this information from Claire, but Brady Schnell's in the field this week in the John Deere Classic. So, Brady, we've had him on this show, and we certainly have had his dad on a few times.
Several times. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be back on the tee on the Iowa Sports Connection radio and television network.